Going on special assignment, many of us drink a cup of coffee or an energy drink to get motivated in the morning, but some people are taking it one step further. They're microdosing, hitting a small dose of an illegal psychedelic drug to increase productivity in the workplace. MTN's Kent Lutzen tells us how this drug fad of young professionals is growing in popularity, even though they could end up with a hefty fine or even thrown in jail.
Yeah, I'll probably not hold on to this for too long because I'm not really trying to trip today.
In order to protect his identity, we'll call him Scott. He's a college student at the University of Montana and is just a few semesters away from receiving his bachelor's degree. He also works part-time. However, to balance his busy schedule, he occasionally takes drugs. In fact, small amounts of LSD to help get him through the day. Take
Shakespeare's classic quote that the whole world is a stage. LSD is like a backstage pass. It's like you're part of the audience all of a sudden. You're not a character in the play.
Scott gets the drug from a dealer, and the dealer gets it from a producer who makes LSD in bulk quantities. A typical trip would be around 100 micrograms of LSD, but microdosing is a tenth of that, cutting the regular dose into smaller pieces. And Scott says it helps him with mental health, self-improvement, and increases creativity.
Yeah, if you'd be into doing a pretty small microdose day trip.
Now, many associate LSD with the 60s, when flower children were attending Woodstock while rocking out to Jimi Hendrix and defining the hippie generation. But these images are not what the new age microdosing looks like. It's high-level students, creative architects, innovative tech CEOs. It could even be the coworker who just got a promotion. But is this self-medicating psychedelic treatment really a healthy option?
There's been some recent research on LSD again, so the FDA has started to reapprove studies. Some of those studies are showing promising results. So some of the more recent studies have focused on depression and anxiety in cancer patients, people with terminal diseases, where the long-term risks we're not as worried about. And there have been some really good results. So I think that there's potential for therapeutic benefit.
Dr. Munjal says these studies were done in a controlled setting. He also added there are very serious side effects of using psychedelia, especially if someone is already struggling with mental health issues.
People's ability to determine reality from unreality to unravel a little bit. They distort perceptions, and they can even create perceptions that don't exist. And so very much a hallucinogen can mimic a psychotic state.
LSD users can also experience flashbacks or reoccurrences of certain aspects of the drug experience. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, LSD does produce tolerance, so many users who take the drug repeatedly must continue to take higher doses to achieve the same high. But for Scott and other users, these side effects do not outweigh the benefits they get from microdosing.
Right, so I'm somebody who's dealt with anxiety and depression for a number of years now, and something that tends to be really frustrating with anxiety is that you get locked into these sorts of very rigid ways of viewing the world. The psychedelic experience really gives me the tools, I think, to observe the way that I'm thinking about things and the way that I'm engaging with things without that dimension of frustration.
Scott is just one of many young professionals who are microdosing here in Missoula. They're taking small portions of hallucinogens before class or even work. And city prosecutors say the use of psychedelics are on the rise.
We are seeing an increase over the last few months of both mushrooms and LSD. I have seen more referrals, and I'm aware of more law enforcement intelligence regarding those drugs. So it does seem to be on the rise here. We're taking it seriously.
McCubbin said being caught with these drugs can result in felony charges for each incident of possession. The maximum sentence for a basic drug charge is 5 years and or a $5,000 fine. And some users say the benefits from microdosing are worth that risk.
How do you justify doing a psychedelic when you know that it's very well illegal?
Lumping psychedelia into the same category as all of your narcotics, all of your amphetamines it's like likening snowboarding to golf because they're both sports. The positive benefits largely outweigh any sort of negative stigma or culture that's developed around psychedelics, and I feel like the culture is going to shift when we realize that there is a lot of good stuff that can come out of moderated, responsible use.
On special assignment, Kent Lutzen, MTN News, Missoula.